All right, I think we are live here, and hi everyone. Welcome to my live stream for the my animation here. If you're new to this sort of series of live streams that I've been doing, hi, welcome. Hopefully, audio is in sync. So if you're watching and the audio is not in sync, please let me know. All right, so let me just talk very briefly about what this shot is, what I'm doing here. I'm doing a scene with two characters, and I will show them here. This guy and this girl, and they're on a blind date of sorts. Very simple props, very simple setup. Just sort of doing this as a little fun exercise. The audio is from the 2016 Ghostbusters. It's just a quick 11 seconds of audio, which I got from the 11 Second Club. You can go to 11secondclub.com, and they post little audio clips every month for you to animate to and have the fun of doing that. And so tonight, what I've been doing, if you are new to this, let me jump over to my view here. Hello. This is my render camera shot. This would be my other character. She's sitting here. I'm going to turn her off. And what I'm doing here is I'm building out my poses. And what I've done since my last video, I just took one night. I just needed to do a little work on my own just to make sure I was going to have something good to start off with here. And I began to build out these breakdown poses. So previously I had been doing what was called blocking, which is just the pose maybe is for the scene, and then and those keyframes. And now I'm going through and building out my breakdowns and my in-between poses, which are your keyed frames in between those key frames. That's a bad sentence. Basically, here's a frame, his hand is here, and there's a frame, his hand is here. Well, what's the breakdown? This is what I'm working it out. And the breakdown is it in the middle? Or is it weighted towards the top? Is it weighted towards the bottom before you hit the bottom? And that will, of course, determine what the timing, the pacing, the feel of the animation. You can be here, and if your next keyframe is a little bit here, and then you go to the bottom, your animation is going to feel like. Whereas if you would put that breakdown pose, that in between, more towards the bottom, you might feel more like he slows. That's a very quick example. Alright, so I'm just going to jump into this, and I'm going to work on this pose here. One of the things I did in the last video, and I got distracted in the last video because a bunch of people jumped in, and I sort of did a little recap, was I was working on this pose. Let me turn off the sound here. And this pose is really, the previous pose was just a little facial animation. And I would like to get his body in motion. And then, we can work out the breakdown between this frame here and the previous frame. Okay. Some of the other tools here. This is a GUI picker. This allows me to select the joints. This is a tween key tool, which I'm going to just hide behind the window. And then I have a grease pencil, which we'll use a little bit more probably later. And then this behind is some reference footage. This is my perspective camera, where I can just quickly rotate around and get a sense of what's happening. Alright, so I need to make this pose feel like it's alive. So I'm going to start with frame 1 here. From 7 is a anticipation, more, begins the movement. Notice it's driving from the shoulder and the waist. And then the hand kind of gets pulled into it. And then, of course, there's nothing there. It's just his face. I'm going to quick try to get a pose in there. So my character's saying, did the actor thing? Did the actor thing? So hips have been rotating back as he's bringing his body forward. So I think that I'm going to pull this back a little bit more now. Oh, his glass is detached. Well, look at that. There's a problem. Look at that. There they are. Strange. Okay. And then I'm going to work up the spine. It's a lot of people walking by outside. It's pretty late here, but it's a popular night to go out and carouse with your fellow drinker and friends. It's a Friday night, so people are out having fun. But I'm gonna stay in and do a little of this. Render view for a second. Shows I'm pulling on the neck in the wrong axis than I want. Okay, sorry, my fault. How's the audio tonight? Is it in sync? Is it, I'd love to get a sense. Let me jump in here so we can all sort of see what I'm doing a little bit better. My apologies. If at any point you can't see, let me know. So I just want to bring this neck down a little bit to emphasize this pose. And then, let's see, what's his head? Bring his head up just a touch. And we'll talk about sort of this in a second. So I'm looking at the tip of the nose to sort of get a sense of where this, his head's tracking sort of a arc pattern. So let's talk about that really quickly. It's a great time to do that. Okay, I'm going to bring up this grease pencil tool. If you don't know where this is in Maya, it's under View, Camera Tools, Camera Tools, Grease Pencil. And I'm just going to go to frame 1, pull the GUI picker to the side so you don't need to look at it for a second. And this is really key for me. So I'm going to add this ability to draw here. I'll leave it on blue. That should be easy to see. Basically, what I'm going to go through is I'm going to put a little marker at on his nose here. Hello. What's going on here? Let me try to delete that frame and start this over. Oh, I don't probably just have it showed, not turned on. I'm sorry. grease pencil. There it is. All right, so frame 1, go to 7, small little marker dots, 10, 12, 15, 18, 20, and now this 32. Now I'm going to switch to red. Hopefully you can see that. And turn off his glasses. Just turn off our character for a moment. So you can see that I'm trying to get his nose to follow a little arced path here. Right? And this sort of will create a more pleasing, fluid sort of thing. One of the principles of animation is arcs, and that I think relates a lot to sort of another element of principle of animation, which is appeal. Okay, so all right. Well, we got some people watching. That's great. Okay, so this would be why now I'm want to look at my poses here and see sort of like how is his head really sitting. So if I select his head, maybe bring this down just a touch to accentuate the curve a bit. Don't need to be, I don't want, this is to be a little bit more subtle shot. And these breakdowns and in-betweens I'm putting in will then of course be really helpful to have in the right spot once I go to start splining my character and doing all that fine sort of cleanup. And now you can see between 20 and 32, this is a big gap in the timeline. It's not a lot of movement here, but this will of course cushion this shot. This will be a much harder 18 to 20. It's a lot of distance from the travel. All right, so I like those arcs. I'm going to delete this curve here. And I'm going to quickly do a little play blast of this, and we can sort of get a sense of how this is sounding. And, you know, we can, so you can see the play bar here at the bottom, that's the play blast clicking away. And then we can watch this and we can get a sense of how is this starting to come together in terms of the motion. It's a good chance for me to get a little sip of water here. A little bubbly water. Okay, so should come up in just a second. And all right, so I'm going to loop this. Now hopefully the sync between the computer and the microphone, which is picking up the audio, will be pretty good. So, all right, I'm going to play this.
Did the actor thing, worked for, 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 did the actor thing.
So he's saying, I did the actor thing, worked for, so he's trying to like sort of tout how kind of cool he is in a nonchalant way. This pose is still a pretty big jump here, right? Between these two. And there's just a lot of happening in his face. And the body's not too much of a huge
Did
jump.
the actor thing, worked for, did the actor thing.
You can see that I need some sort of breakdown in between those. So that's what I'll work on now. Okay, I'm going to turn off the audio. So everyone who's here watching, I'd love to know like where you're from. Are you in the U.S.? Are you located elsewhere? Just say hi, and I always think it's really neat to see where people are from. And I saw that someone just joined a second ago, so just maybe one last time, I'll just play this where we are, just so you can get a sense.
To the actor thing. Worked for. To the actor thing. Worked for. To the actor thing. Worked for.
So a couple things. I got to fix his hand. There's no motion on the hand. And then this pose, of course, is a really big jump, so we're going to address that now. Okay. So first things first on this hand. Okay, I didn't see the rotation, Charlie, so I'm going to jump into my graph editor. Second here. Okay, no. I was just checking to make sure I had the keyframe. So you can see that these are the frames, the positions of the axis. It's changing each one of these stepped little markers relates to that. Okay. So I'm going to add a little bit, tiny bit more rotation here. Then I'll do a quick little adjustment to the hand. Just make sure I have keys here. So you're going to sort of see what I'm doing here. I hope this makes sense. Hey, hey, Hooligan's House. Cool, man. New York, yeah, right on. New York's the best. Oh, yeah, glad you're finding this interesting. All right, so I'm just going to quick little check on the hand here. So we'll just step through it really fast. Won't do a real play blast, but you can just get a sense of what's happening with the hand as it comes up. Feels hopefully now like it's a real moving part and not just frozen in space. You can see that I let the fingers, as we went from one pose to the next, they sort of curled in just a tiny bit, just to sort of give some sense of momentum. They sort of roll over a little bit. That's a little much. Maybe I'll pull that back. Okay, so now, oh, let's hit a save. Let's not forget to save. Okay, so I'm going to go into this, what's going to be my breakdown between this point and here. And I've got this big face thing as well. Turn the sound for a second. So this, he doesn't really start sound coming out of his mouth until this frame 32. where this jumps. So I'm thinking about the face, and will be sort of a, won't be moving like, no, this is Maya. That's a good question. Yeah, I'm animating in Maya, for sure. Yeah. I have actually not used Cinema 4D, but obviously it's very popular. All right, so first place to start, like whenever there's a question like this, is let's start with the spine, or the hips, I should say. So, did the actual thing? So, if this is where if frame 32 is where this is actually coming out of his mouth, let's jump back to our quick time. Sorry, this is the nature of just doing this. You gotta like watch and think.
Do the actor thing. Works.
Okay, so easy now. There's a pause between this 20 and 32. There's not really much happening here in this character, but he's going to then start talking. So before he starts talking, he has to have there has to be some sort of anticipation of what's going to happen. So I'm going to go back 4 frames to frame 28 here. I'm going to have his hip selected. All his controls are available here. Translate and rotates. It's a breath control, by the way, which is really awesome. Whoa. Which that'll happen way later. And I know that this is not going to, he's not going to be, let me delete the key I created. This frame 28 is where he's going to have to hit that anticipation. So he has time, right? That gives me 4 frames. That's probably pretty good. Which means that, let's say, just go another 4 frames before that. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So now 24 is where his character will have settled so that he has time to pull back. So what I'm going to say now, I'm just going to start his hips. I'm going to use this thing called the tween key. This allows me to determine like a fractional relationship between one key and the next. So if, here's frame 1, here's frame 2, if I say hit the half button, it will make a key that's in the middle. If I said 3/4, it'll make it 3/4 between those 2 positions. So starting his hips, I'm just going to actually hit 0 here, because I'm just going to keep him, I need to build sort of this pause position and before I can go into anticipation. So very quickly, I'm just going to go up the spine, the neck, the head, his shoulders, his hands, and I'm actually going to just hit 0, and that should make everything will now be the same as this frame 20. He won't move at all. Okay, hopefully you can see this in the live stream. So if I then go forward 1, 2, 3, 4, frame 28, he now is going to need to pull back a little bit so that we can jump into frame 32. Right? So start with his waist here. I can see that he has been moving back. He's going to move back to hit this pose. So 28, I'm actually going to move him a tiny bit forward. All right. And maybe, just for the sake of it, you can see this here. So let's just step through our frames. So that gives me this little bit, you can already feel it starting to happen. Right? He's clicking, nothing's moving, boom, anticipate, he's going to anticipate, and then he has time to pull back into that pose. Now the timing here, right now it's pretty even. That will either have to be adjusted through the timing, or the poses, how far apart the spacing is between pose A and B. First thing is just to start building this out. Okay, so I know he's going to pull this hand forward. He's going to slide it forward. So maybe this hand will come just in. Now this is also great too because we know he's just settled into this pose. The hands come up. It comes up. So this is a great time for this hand to do the arcs that we were talking about before. Spin them around. So I'm going to start just here. I'm going to add the frame for the grease pencil. All right, I'm just going to make some, this is basically like a bouncing ball. Right? Hand. 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 Doesn't move. What's it going to do? And it ends up out here, right? So I can sort of see what's happening is this hand is going to go, it's basically coming, let's just go back a little bit, just 1 second here to see where we were. Yep, that was our sitting position. Boom, boom, boom. So our hand can go, it's basically going to have to do an arc like this. Right, because even though this hand comes up and then we're going to hold, the hand needs to settle. Right? Does this make sense at all? So I'm sort of like looking at what the path of this hand is so that I know where it's going to go. So we've come up. This is the peak of our arc, let's say, or peak of our motion. We've already basically, this is a big movement in only 2 frames. All right. So in many ways, I might be better off to pull this frame back just a tiny bit. And then I have 4 frames, 2, 3, 4 for that hand to settle. And you can see so now we're starting to, he's going to continue in the arc. And we're going to end up forward. I'm going to bring it forward a little bit more to help accentuate this. So if I clear out this really sloppy drawing here, right? So let's just follow his wrist. Oops, let's make the key, the grease pencil key. Boom. Boom. A lot of sound effects for me tonight. Kapow. See, almost on top of each other. Ka-ching. Kablamo. Kapooey. Okay. Now, let's delete this. Change our camera view here. So this can hopefully, just watch the hand now in our render view, what our camera angle is. See, this hand can now come up. Oh, look at that. There's actually not missing really a pose on this hand in this front frame. Let's give that a little something, right? Give it a little juice. Hand slide. We're settling. So I'm also looking at the arcs now from just out of the camera angle. Alright, so let's maybe do a quick play blast to this and see what we're getting. Let's turn on the sound. We'll play blast. I'm having fun tonight, man. I'm digging tonight. Tonight's been good. Okay. Play blasts are really tough for me because I feel like I should be talking about stuff and be entertaining. Hey! Entertainment time! But, like, what am I gonna do? I guess that. Alright.
Do the actor thing. Works for. 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 Do the actor thing. Work.
Okay, I'm gonna mute that for a second so I can focus on the motion. Okay, so the arc is too even. It's too floaty. I want it to hold a bit more. So I'm just looking at the hand right now. So this is great. Another point now to use this grease pencil tool. Love this thing, by the way. See, this hammer goes down. That serves as my anticipation before he brings it up. Yeah, so you can see this is too where how it floats. Okay. So yeah, here's an easy way to fix now. I love this tween key tool, animationrigs.com. I think they still may have it available. And I'm going to bring this now. I'm going to use the 1/8 button and bring that hand. Look, it jumped right back. Let's undo that. Ready? So I'll pull this right here. I'll click 1/8. Look, it goes back to this 1/8 position between where these two were. I can get all this. Now the slight little movement. There's my anticipation now, so that should help give me a little bit more. And I'm actually going to move this now, just camera visually. Actually bring this down. So it can have its own little mini arc, which will show up in the polish. Boom. It's going to be like an anticipation for the anticipation. Maybe a bit. We'll see. It might look a little weird in the blocking. And of course, not having done the fingers will affect this. So let's get a little work on the hands in. Just this thumb, if nothing else. So, let's grease pencil it, baby. All right, boom, boom. I'm gonna really silly mood tonight. Change the color. Okay, so that's, you can see there's a little weird, this actually falls back behind itself. Alright, so just looking at the thumb, I hope you can see what's going on here. Okay, so I'm going to clear out this grease pencil. I'm going to do a little smaller notches just for the tip of the thumb. Good. Let's get the right thing control here. And this I'm going to want to do two little movements. Bring it forward. Maybe bring it a little bit of a rotation out to tip the hand forward. And then I'm going to give this thumb a little drag. Okay, let's kill the grease pencil. And let's give this a quick play blast. Alright. I'll be really happy to get through some of this tonight. Yeah. If if you've made it this far into the live stream or the replay, and you want to know more about me, there should be a card, or there is a link in the description. You can see my most recent short film, which played in 3 festivals last year, which is always really exciting to be included in, and it's on YouTube, so you can watch it there. All right. The sound is off, but I don't think that matters right now. Okay, let's loop this. Alright, so I like there's this little, this is much better to me. It seems a little weird in blocking, but I think it's going to come much better once we're all splined and smooth. I'll probably reduce the bounce a tiny bit, but I don't want to get like super caught on this right now. So I'm going to select my translate Y, and I'm just going to and let's just let's update that again. Alright. It's play blast time. Play blast time. Play blasts. Oh, play blasts. Oh, play blast. It's almost done. Yes, yes. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. So glad that song is immortalized on the internet forever. Okay. So, yeah, that's okay. So now, of course, I got to get the rest of his body, but the hand gives me some sort of initial direction on where I might want to take this. Okay. Alright, so let's go back to our character here. Well, let's save too while we're at it. Okay. While we're saving, look, it's me. Hi! Okay. Okay. Alright, so, let's look at the rest of this figure now. Remember, I've only done his spine, or his hips, I should say. It's the only thing that's rotating forward on his torso. Right? The hand is actually an IK, so it would be pinned. It would just float in the air. It wouldn't be affected by the rest of his motion. I don't believe I did the other parts. I forget now. Yeah, they're all still static. Okay, so I'm just going to take a peek here in the graph editor. It's out of the way. Primarily just rotate X controls. So you can see we're also stepping in this one direction. We're holding. I don't have a key yet, and then he jumps this way. So it sort of helps to inform me that my key, insert one here. It's going to go down. That tilted him back. So So I'm looking at this here. I'm looking at what his spine's doing. It's opening up to curl, to crumple. Get his shoulders. Let's start with the other shoulder first. Maybe that's perhaps. So shoulder rotates forward this direction. So I'm going to let him relax a little bit. It's probably going to be too extreme, but We'll refine that in the camera view, or I will refine it, I guess. Whoever, if someone wants to jump in, input is always welcome. I'm sort of letting the shoulder relax so that it almost doesn't move. Sort of, it has slight movement, but it's not like it's offsetting the movement that's happening elsewhere. So, up, boom. All right, I'm going to select this IK handle. I'm going to give the arm a little bit of twist. All right, so this is coming along. Let's do another quick play blast, and then maybe I'll call it for tonight on the live stream. But I will probably do a little bit more work, and then next time when I do the live stream, we'll jump in and we can see sort of what our new starting point is, and I'll talk about those frames. Sort of getting to the point where I'm going to be doing a lot of fine details, this, that, sitting quietly and just staring at the screen. So not probably too exciting for anyone who's watching. But you know, all right, so we'll do this. Take a peek here. Let me loop it. Sense of the anticipation before it hits the pose. Head's still not been adjusted. Just the spine and shoulders. I can see that this shoulder's a little much still. This last frame, this pose I should say, it's just too much. I was looking at the edge of it and it was not creating a sort of like a sense of line of motion, which makes it then distracting from you when you're trying to watch it as a audience member. It's like, wait, why is the shoulder popping instead of you watching like what the focus should be. So all right, I'm going to end here for tonight. Thank you everyone who stopped in tonight to watch. This was a really productive night, I think. And I'm going to keep going on my own here. Please like, comment, subscribe. I'm on Patreon, so if you want to support me doing more of these videos and the other videos I make, you can visit me there. That would be awesome. And everyone who's become a patron, thank you so much. All right, that's it for tonight. Have a wonderful evening and a wonderful day, a wonderful night, a wonderful life. Everything should be great, because that's what we need more of in life. Okay. I don't know. I'm talking a lot. All right. I'm going to stop the stream, and maybe it will cut me off mid-sentence. It does that sometimes.